In this week's video I'm going to show you just one mod, and that may surprise you given the length of this video, but trust me, this mod has so many features it could probably be several mods in one, and it is definitely a mod that is worth checking out. As many of you probably already know, when the modding tools for Witcher 3 were first released, I created a very quick prototype mod called Immersive HUD that allowed you to have the minimap hidden and have it reappear when you used Witcher senses. I was planning on trying to add some new features to this mod when I got the time. However, there is no longer any need for me to do such a thing because there is a mod called Friendly HUD and it adds everything I was thinking of adding and a lot more. The first thing worthy of note is the heads-up display toggle. You can by default press the F3 key and it will toggle the entire heads-up display off, and this includes all the heads-up display features, for example stamina, and perhaps if I use one of the potions, if I now press F3 everything disappears. For people who just want to clear the heads-up display for a quick screenshot, this feature alone is probably enough reason to install this mod, as you can see. But for many of us, we don't want to toggle the entire heads-up display on and off when we want to, for example, check the minimap or see what our current objective is. And this mod handles that brilliantly. I will show you how. I will go along to the options and go to video, HUD configuration. I will turn off the minimap and the active quest. So now I have this lovely uncluttered screen, but if I want the minimap to appear, I can simply press and hold the map key. And there you go. As soon as I release it, it disappears. Press and hold the map key, release it, and it disappears. Now this is the map key I have bound, so it doesn't have to be the default one. The default one I believe is M. I've rebound my key. It's the exact same key as opening the main map. So if I press the main map, it just opens the map. If, however, I press and hold, the minimap shows up. And the same is true for the journal. So if the journal key, the one that opens this particular section, the quests, if I hold it instead, will tell me I'm on Lilac and Gooseberries, ask the Nilfgaardians about Yennefer. Take my finger off the key and it disappears. And don't worry, if some of you actually liked the idea of the minimap appearing when you used Witcher senses instead of a toggle, you can actually set that for this mod. You have to change the default settings, which I have done and I will show you, but as I go into Witcher sense, as you can see, the minimap has appeared. So this mod does exactly what Immersive HUD does if you want it to. Oh, and if you're wondering why my Witcher sense doesn't have that horrible blur on it, it is because I removed it. It makes me feel a little nauseous when I use it. Just thought I'd tell you that in case you're wondering. Now I mentioned that that was not the default state for this mod when using Witcher senses, and I will actually show you how to change the settings later on in this video, but for now I'm going to show you what actually happens by default when you use the Witcher sense. As you can see, a little number, a marker appears off in the distance. That is the location for my currently tracked quest. That is, if I go along to my map, the fort where the Nilfgaardians are. This is a save, an early save I have, where the quest is the Lilac and Gooseberries one, and when using Witcher senses, I can actually see my quest location, my quest target, on the screen. If I turn around, you will see it actually points in the direction that I need to look. So, if you want a visual way, a visual indicator of where your quest is, you can actually have it set up this way. This means you don't have to keep checking the map and you don't need the minimap up. So if you actually want to play without the minimap, but you do want some direction sense to your goal, you can actually have it set up. Now don't worry, you can turn that feature off in the actual settings. I will show you that as well. And if you prefer to have it up all the time, if for some reason you quite like heads-up display clutter, you can actually press a key that will toggle it on, regardless of whether you're using Witcher Sense or not. This mod also allows you to control the health and stamina indicators up in the top left corner. By default, you have that on because it's useful in combat, and it disappears if your health is full. But what happens if your health is damaged, as mine is now? Well, it's up all the time. However, with this mod, well, let me show you. If I go along to the options again, and this time hide the Witcher Medallion and Stats bars, you'll see it disappear, even though I have got a health problem. Well, you'll see the bars disappear. You notice the Swallow and Tawny Owl and Torch are still visible. I'm going to run forwards into what I believe is danger. And once I'm in combat, as you can see, it reappeared. It reappeared. So as long as I'm in combat, I get the health. But if I'm out of combat, it will disappear even if I have taken damage. The only thing that I would complain about is the fact that it doesn't seem to hide the Swallow, Tawny Owl and Torch indicator as well. It would be kind of nice if that was linked to the health and stamina medallion. The mod also has a number of features that go beyond the heads-up display. So for example, it allows you to customize the amount of zoom you get when you enter the map. The starting zoom and indeed the maximum zoom. You will probably remember I covered a mod that allowed you to do this. This is now built into this mod, so you won't actually need the other mod if you are using Friendly HUD. You can also control the zoom on the minimap, so as you can see right now I can see quite a bit more than you would by default, and this is something you can customize for both inside, outside and for the boat. Again, I did cover a mod in a previous video that did this for you, but with Friendly HUD it's already built in, so you only need this one mod. And a surprising feature that makes it so that when you open your inventory, it is already focused on the potions. I say surprising because after seeing it, I'm surprised I didn't think of this myself. This is really useful because more often than not, when I open my inventory, it's to sort out the potions, the oils, or to eat some food. That is the most likely thing I am doing when I look at my inventory, so this is actually very, very useful. All of the features so far had pretty much convinced me that this mod was one of the best mods for Witcher 3 that I had seen, but the next feature sealed the deal, and it's a feature that in a way doesn't belong in a heads-up display mod because it has nothing to do with the heads-up display. And it's a feature known as RealTime Meditation. Now normally when you meditate, you press the meditate key, you choose how long you're going to meditate for, you click meditate and you go. However, with this mod, you can actually press and hold the meditate key and you will start meditating in real time. The minimap will appear and you will see time pass. Not that you need to, because as you can see, you can actually see daylight shoot across the land. You can see night and day change. It's an incredible feeling. And you're actually regenerating health and whatever else in real time, so it will be accelerated. If you are low health and you're playing on a lower difficulty or you have the correct skill, you will generate health quickly. If you have used your potions and they need to be refilled and you meditate for long enough, I think it's half an hour by default, it will redo your potions as a normal meditation would. And in fact you can actually tweak that in the settings for exactly how long you need to meditate before that will happen. For me, this feature is so good that I actually feel it almost deserves its own mod. I think there are going to be plenty of people who don't care about the heads-up display tweaks but would like this feature. I think it's incredible. I think it adds a real sense of immersion to the game, and you get a very, very deep sense of time passing whilst you meditate like this. The only real downside to the immersiveness of this particular feature is the fact that none of the other characters, the NPCs, have time sped up for them. The world is sped up, you can see the sun and moon rise and fall, the light changes quickly, but unfortunately the AI does not change. They all walk around at the normal speed. So if you're going to use this feature, I would generally recommend doing it somewhere where there are no people if you want to keep that sense of immersion. It's still an amazing feature though. This mod is compatible with the no talk icon mod that I covered, and of course you don't need the mods that change zoom on map and minimap. However, by default it is not compatible with auto loot, specifically because of the key presses when you do the area of effect auto loot. So if you install auto loot and this mod will not work unless you do a bit of tweaking. You can get them both working together if you are willing to edit some files. I will probably show you how to do that in another video. It's not a difficult process, but a little out of the scope for this one. However, just know that if you're a big fan of auto loot, you're going to either have to do a little work to get them to work together, or you're going to have to choose which mod you want. But I have to say, after trying this mod out, this mod is well worth installing, and I kind of like auto loot, at least for looting the harvestables of plants. So I'm going to put the time in. I am going to get them working together because frankly, well, this is probably the best mod I have covered so far. It is beyond anything I was going to make with Immersive HUD, and as far as I'm concerned, it replaces Immersive HUD because it does exactly what Immersive HUD does anyway, and so much more. So, if you were a fan of Immersive HUD, check this one out. If you wanted other features that weren't in Immersive HUD, check this one out. Just check this mod out. Check the features out. Check the RealTime Meditation out. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how good that feature feels. There are a number of steps to take when installing and setting up Friendly HUD. I'm going to show you the basic ones. I'm not going to cover things like compatibility with other mods. That is a little out of scope. I may do another video covering such mods as auto loot, but for now we're just going to install Friendly HUD, get it working, and show you how to tweak the settings. Step 1, of course, is to install the actual mod files. Go along to the Files section on the mod page and download with Manager if you're using the Nexus Mod Manager version, which I am. Once it's downloaded, activate, and it's pretty much installed. If you're not using Nexus Mod Manager, you just download manually, extract the folder which will be called Mod Friendly HUD, I'll even show you, Mod Friendly HUD, into your mods folder. The mods folder should exist under your game folder, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. If you've never installed a mod before, perhaps you don't have such a folder, make one. Just make the folder called Mods and place Mod Friendly HUD in there. And that's the file installation done. However, there are a few other steps you need to take. I'm going to keep the mods folder open. I'm going to go back up to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. You're going to need to go into Bin, Config, R4 Game, User Config Matrix, PC, and then you're going to need to edit the input.xml file. Now, all of the details for how to install you can find on the front page, and we're going to check there now. The file we've just opened, you're going to have to search for base character movement inside the square parentheses, and you're going to be adding some lines before it. Now, I've already found this base character movement right there, and add these 3 lines just before it. So go to the front page, select the whole block of text, copy it, and then paste it above base character movement and save that. The next thing you need to do is add the key press settings, and for that you're going to need to go along to your documents, go to The Witcher 3 and input.settings, edit that. I am using Notepad++. You can use Notepad. I highly recommend Notepad++ for this sort of thing. It is just so much more powerful and so much easier to use once you get used to it. So there's the file opened, and I need to find the section marked Exploration. So I'm going to copy that, go along to here, Control F, Control V to paste, and find Exploration. Beneath there, I need to add these 4 lines. I will copy all of those and paste them there. Now this is the quest markers toggle key. This is the HUD toggle key. You have also got a key that allows you to toggle the refill potions. When you meditate, you're using RealTime Meditation. You can actually toggle it so it doesn't refill your potions. Perhaps you wanted to meditate without actually refilling your potions. Maybe you're a little light on alcohol and you've only used 1 dose from your swallow and you don't want it to actually refresh it right now because it's a waste of alcohol. You can toggle it off with this. So I've added those 4 lines under Exploration. I also need to add them under Exploration Replacer Siri. So I'm going to keep this copied, and then I'm going to Control F, Exploration. That's the one I've just done. Exploration Replacer Siri. Add those 4 lines there. I also need to add it to Combat. Control F, Combat. Actually, I'll just do 1. Add those lines there, and then I'm going to press F3 to search for the next instance of Combat. That's the one I'm looking for, Combat Replacer Siri, and paste those lines there. Control S to save, and I am done. You should note that once in game, you will actually be able to change these keys underneath the key bindings. It's pretty easy. You could just change it to whatever you want. Say you wanted to change it to F6. You can do that. I'm going to change it back to F2. If you are using a controller, there are instructions on the page on how to get it working for the controller. It's very, very similar. Just go along, read these carefully, and pretty much do the same thing with slightly different key definitions. To configure the mod itself, you need to go along to the mods folder of your Witcher Wild Hunt game and go into mod, friendly HUD, content, scripts, game. And you're looking for mod friendly HUD config.ws. Right click and once again edit with, in this case for me, Notepad++. This is the file where all the settings are going to be changed. Now, most of this will not need any explanation from me. If you look at the real-time meditation settings section, you can define all sorts of different things, the speed, time passes, and so on. You can change those. The heads-up display settings show Minimap while using Witcher Sense, for example, which is one of the things I quite like. I'm going to replace false with true. This now means if I use the minimap, I will actually see the minimap. You could do the same for quests as well. Enable character stats in combat, true. This will always force the health, the stamina, back onto the screen when you're in combat, even if you have it switched off in the options as I showed you in the video earlier. For those of you who do not want the quest marker to be shown on screen when using Witcher Sense, go along to quest markers settings and change the true to false. If you set that there, you will never see it even when using the Witcher Sense, which is probably what I'm going to do. You can change all your map zoom settings. Again, that's reasonably obvious. You can play around with these settings if you're not happy with them and see what you like. And you can even do things such as block the inventory in combat, so you cannot actually open your inventory in combat if you like. By default it's set to false, which is how the game normally is, but if you change this to true, you will not actually be able to open your inventory mid-combat. So if you want that real hardcore experience, this is one of those values you might want to set to true. For most people, those settings are probably the main ones you want to look at. Many of the other ones are fine at their default value. Just keep your eyes open for where it says end of configurable section. Try not to edit anything below that. You may cause some problems. You should be changing the things above, but only change the values, the things after the equals sign. Please do not change any of the other things. Don't change the variable names, just the things after it says equals. So where it says equals true or equals false, you can change that. Where it's got equals a number, change the number. You should be fine as long as you don't pick some ridiculous values. Again, read the text above the values if you want some more details. And that's all there is to it. Press Ctrl S and it will save. Now, because you've edited this, the game will recompile the script next time you run it. Even if you've already run this mod, if you change one of these values, it will recompile the script. Don't worry, that is perfectly normal. Anyway guys, that is it for this video. I realize it has been a little focused on one mod, but I make no apologies for that. This mod was well worth covering in this sort of detail. I, of course, will be coming back next week with some more mods. Well, one or more mods, and I hope you can join me for that. I look forward to seeing you there, and until then, remember, as always, have fun.